Hey, good morning, Doug. Eric here.
Yeah, Eric, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm rolling with the punches, guy. I couldn't stay to the end, but I went to that committee of the whole meeting last night.
What'd you think?
Oh, man, they got their minds made up. This is all backroom stuff. Regardless of how hard people stand up and protest, that we are basically a different culture from Fort Collins and the People's Republic of Boulder and whatnot. We still have the same problem that we can be bought for 30 pieces of silver, sold out by our elected officials. And, it gets to the point where you say to yourself, I want to give up, but I'm not going to give up. And I advise people out there, don't give up. All right, we still have a fight ahead of us. And, we have a different style of life here in the state of Wyoming. We're a cowboy state, and I keep on trying to tell people that that's how different we are. We depend upon tourism. Now, if we change and become like Fort Collins, what good are we? What happens to Frontiers Day? That'll be gone. What happens to our license plate with the buck and bronco on it? What, we're going to have a bicycle on there? I mean, God, what will happen to our state flag? What will we have on there? A green car? I don't understand these people. We just got finished spending millions of taxpayers' dollars bailing out the automobile industry, and now we're trying to stifle it by saying you should ride a bike.
So you pretty much feel that the decision's been made regardless of any public testimony? The
decision has been made because they want their $114 million. They all want their big chunks of their 30 pieces of silver, and this is the way to get it. But after we get it and after that money runs out, what do we do then? I tell you what we do. We turn around and tax the people, raise their taxes. How else are we going to pay to keep up this fantasy land thing that they have? I mean, we got this ridiculous raised island on Lincoln Way in front of the means. Anyone can tell me what purpose does that serve? I mean, as far as material and construction, tell me, what does it do for us? Nothing. I mean, come on. If we're going to have this kind of garbage all around our community, and the thing about it, they're targeting Cheyenne because Cheyenne is the capital city, and it's got 4 entities of government in there. We got the federal building, we got the state, we got the county, and we have the city. So if you target that, wipe that out, there goes the rest of the state. And if the rest of the state goes, there goes the nation, because we're supposed to be the most conservative state in the union. And my God, they are targeting us, and we got these people out there that will betray us. The oath of office means absolutely nothing. The Wyoming Constitution doesn't even have "so help me God" at the end. People, look it up. It does not. The Wyoming Constitution, oath of office, does not have "so help me God" at the end. All right?
Okay.
So you tell me, what good does that do for this state when they don't have to an oath to who?
Well, Eric, let me ask you this. Emily Hasenauer has been suggesting putting it on the ballot. Do you think that might be a good way to go?
Yes. I say put it on the ballot. Let the people of the state, not only just the county, but this, the idea is to take one county at a time, all right, until you got the entire state. So I say not only put it on just the county ballot, but put it on a state ballot.
Of course, the challenge there is it's very difficult to do that.
Yes, it is very difficult to do it, but if you don't take the first step, it'll never happen. All right. So back in the 90s, they said that you can't put the fifth penny on a ballot to vote it down. Well, we did vote it down once. They said it couldn't be done. The first thing was, there's not enough room on a ballot. We don't want to have a 2-page ballot. Well, that turned out to be baloney. It wasn't a 2-page ballot, but we squeezed it in on a ballot. It was a yes or no question. Are you for the fifth penny or not? And the majority of people voted no, because there was a whole bunch of stupid stuff on there, and all we were crying then for is a menu-style ballot, all right, where the people can pick and choose the items that they like, but they didn't want to do that. They said, no, we'll see how far this goes. So it was voted down, all right? Yes, we can do it, but we have to stand up and shout. But if people want to be complacent and be on their knees in the future, because their grandchildren will be on their knees in the future, begging for a scrap of bread and a tin of water. And that's the way government likes to have us, is subservience to them, not ourselves. You remember, the preamble to the Constitution is we the people. Government's trying to take that away.
Well, Eric, looks like I have a couple other callers trying to get in. I appreciate your time this morning.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Talk to you later, Eric.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Good morning, Doug. Ron Williams here.
Hey, Ron. How you doing?
Oh, goodness, what a difference a half a mile makes.
How so?
Well, up at the end of Capitol Avenue, we had a little handful of state legislatures that wanted to go whoring after the federal money on Medicaid, and the majority of the people's representatives said no, and they showed Mr. Obama their middle finger. And although I haven't been a fan of the legislature in the last few years very much, I really, really applaud them for that. They stood up for Wyoming. Now let's go a half a mile down to 6101 O'Neill Avenue, and our honorable mayor and his his fellows on the city council. And no matter what the people want, and no matter how strongly and how loudly the people express their opinion, they're going to adopt the United Nations Development Code, UDC, and they're going to adopt Plan Cheyenne, and they're going to have an MPO, and they're doing it for one reason, and only for one reason.
Would that be money?
That's the point to remember, to go whoring after the federal money.
Well, Ron, what do you think can be done about this, if anything?
Well, I think come Election Day, the honorable mayor and all of his henchpersons on the council that supported the United Nations Development Code and are currently supporting the MPO and the Plan Cheyenne should be retired from the council and replaced by people who will represent the viewpoints and desires of the people, the voters.
I don't think the mayor's on the ballot again until 2016, if memory serves me.
Unfortunately, I think you're correct, and unfortunately, we don't have a recall statute. But if we can get 6 people on the council that represent the people of Cheyenne, if we can get 6 out of the 9, then we can reverse the damage. If we can only get 5 out of 9, and I think we probably already have 3 already, so we'd only have to replace 2. If we can get 5 on the council where they're deadlocked 5-5, we can prevent the mayor from doing any further damage to the city. As far as getting the thing on the ballot, all the city council has to do is pass it by a majority vote, a resolution, and it goes on the ballot.
I personally don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, God, no, it's not going to happen.
A referendum would still be an option, but that's difficult to do.
Well, yeah, a referendum is it's extremely difficult. But even if the council was interested in the people, they could put a non-binding resolution on the ballot that they were not required to abide by, so they could get a sense of what the voters want. They don't have to make it an up or down. They could have a non-binding resolution. And that would tell them whether or not the people of Cheyenne would like to go whoring after the federal dollars. And I'll tell you, I love Wyoming, I love Cheyenne. And if I have my choice, I'd heck of a lot rather see two people riding horses down Lincoln Way than to see them riding bicycles.
Well, Ron, looks like I have some other callers trying to get in. Thanks, Ron. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Hello.
Hello.
Doug, this is Ben Bennett. I was at the council chambers last night also, and I just wanted to piggyback on what Eric said, and I just got the tail end of what Eric was saying, and Ron Williams, I just listened to that. But last night was a very good example of how our elected officials disregard anybody after an election and how condescending they are toward us. The people have gone out and done studies of their own, and they're not getting paid the $40,000 and the $90,000 and $100 and some thousand dollars that these consultant companies are, but they're smarter than any one of the people that was on that council last night. We have actually 3 people that are thinking more than anybody else in town. One of them is the leader of this whole thing, Commissioner Hasenauer. Councilwoman Williams is asking a whole lot of questions and making her colleagues so annoyed with the questions she asks because they have to find an answer somewhere, and they cannot. Mike Luna is voting no for Plan Cheyenne. So we have 3 out of the council members and the commissioners who are even listening to us. And last night was the best example of we don't care anymore because we're already in our big leather chairs up on these councils. So the next time you go to your voting booth at election time, remember the names of the folks that are there. Remember Commissioner Hasenauer, who is totally fighting for the freedom of the people and getting this on a ballot and making the people's voice be the most important thing. Annette Williams, Mike Luna, those kind of folks that are thinking a little bit more and not just saying, well, now that we're elected, we can do anything we want to. And that's my rant, and I support the people, and I put it last night to the council and said that we will debate anybody that you want to publicly in a public venue on Plan Cheyenne, and when we win it, you should vote it down. So this is what we put out to the council. I got no answer. They don't want to debate anybody. They don't seem to know what's going on, but it's out there. So if they want to do that, make it known, and we'll do it in a public venue, and we'll see who wins, and then we'll put it to the vote of the people. How do you think that would work?
That sounds good to me. Hey, Ben, I've got to take a commercial break here, but I appreciate the call.
Thank you, sir.
Talk to you later. Well, thank you very much, Don. AM 650 KGAB, Cheyenne's #1 news talk radio. I think we have a couple of folks who've been waiting to get on the air. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Hi. Good morning. I was holding on for after the news.
Right.
I think part of the thing that was most distressing to me, that it was brought out many times by many different people, that the plan is unconstitutional and has many illegalities in it, and yet the city council decided to still go ahead and vote for it. They were reminded of their oath of office, and if they vote for something that is illegal, unconstitutional, or harmful to the people, that they are in violation of that oath. I don't think that it meant very much to these people. One councilwoman tried to assure us that eminent domain would not be would not take land for recreation use that is stipulated in the plan. She tried to say that this has never happened before and never would. It's like, yes, we really do believe you after the way this particular councilwoman showed a lot of contempt for the people. She was very disrespectful to the people who were being orderly and calm and professional. And I'm just very, very disturbed that these are the kind of people that once they're voted in, this is what they turn out to be. There are provisions in the Constitution, our Wyoming Constitution, to take these matters into the hands of the people, and I really do hope that occurs, and I will be putting my energies behind them, because this is a travesty of justice. It should not have happened. I was disappointed. So thank you, and I hope everybody else will come out next week and bring their information also and view so-called justice in action. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for the call. And good morning, AM 650 KGAB, Cheyenne's #1 news talk radio station. I believe I have a caller who's been waiting patiently. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Mike Tutt, and I was on the, I was at the city council meeting last night, and I've never seen such a dog and pony show. These people, you could tell they were going to vote yes on it, except for Annette Williams and Mike Luna. They voted with us, but these people didn't care one iota about what we were saying or what we thought. And one of the things they brought up on these amendments, Exhibit A, one of the things says the community will work to gather stakeholders to discuss what open space opportunities exist and how to work with landowners to either purchase or encourage private stewardship of these resources. And Annette Williams brought up about, well, I'm looking at your map, and I'm seeing on there that this goes right through private property. And they said, well, it's 25 years ahead of time, so, by that time we should be able to get that negotiated and everything. Well, it's still going through private property. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen, like I said, such a dog and pony show. And Em Lee is the only one standing up for us, as well as Annette and Mike. But people need to vote these people out. That Georgia Broyles has got to go. And so does... I'm sorry, Mark Rennie's been in there too long too, but I hope people wake up and we get some people out there that are going to start pushing to get these people out of there. I don't live in the city, but this does affect me because I live in the county, but this spreads to the county too.
Yes, it does. In fact, the county commission also has to take up this issue here in the not-too-distant future. And
that's already behind-the-scenes thing going on, because it sounds like Troy Thompson and Diane Humphrey are doing this behind the scenes. The last meeting we went to, Diane Humphrey, we were a bunch of us sitting in there. Diane Humphrey says, if you're in here because of Plan Cheyenne, that's not on the agenda today. And the guy ahead of me says, well, is there anybody here from the federal government? And she says, no. So she goes and takes her place, and there was her and Rick Kaysen and a guy from YDOT. And then as soon as she sat down, a gal comes out and starts giving us the agenda. And on number 4 on the agenda was Plan Cheyenne. And it was all about Plan Cheyenne. And there were 2 federal people in there, because I asked them, does Map 21 have anything to do with Agenda 21? And he said, no. I said, you're absolutely sure they're not connected? And he says, no. But if you go look it up on Agenda 21, they're all connected. And this Map 21 thing, I don't know if you've been told, because I've missed a little bit of the show, what's her name? Barbara Boxer, who should have been kicked out of the Senate years ago, is the one that brought this all up. And anybody that has anything to do with Barbara Boxer better watch their soul, because I'm telling you, this woman is not a holy woman. But I just want to say my piece, and thank God we have people like Em Lee and Annette Williams and Mike Luna. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Good morning.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, I agree with most everything that man said that just talked on the phone. But the thing about it is the Agenda 21 thing, that's all United Nations. And, our president of the United States supports that. Our state government it keeps going on with it. And our city government keeps going on with it. And all it amounts to is the federal government has got their fingers in every pie, and they want to control everything. And, I'm a free American. I fought for my country. And I'll tell you something, I do not like where my country's going. And if any of you guys that are sitting out there the veterans, conservatives, or Tea Party, Libertarian, you know something? If the conservative people would get together, we can straighten this country out in a year. But it's going to take a lot of laxative, and Aspen won't do it no more. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Okay, again, our phone numbers are 632-6500, 632-3323. I've got about 12 minutes left here this morning. AM 650 KGAB, Cheyenne's #1 news talk radio station. The topic, the hot topic on the phones this morning seems to be that City Council Committee of the Whole meeting last night, hearing on Plan Cheyenne. The consensus, I guess, among our callers seems to be that the decision had already been made. If you'd like to add your 2 cents, give us a call here at 632-6500 or 632-3323. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Good morning. I kind of think that's usually the way most things work, is that things are kind of decided beforehand, and I don't know if they're right or they're wrong. I guess I worry a little bit that people worry too much about conspiracy theories, et cetera, and I don't know that that's really the case either, because what is the driving force behind that, should that be the case? I guess the other thing I would say is that as a city resident, I sometimes get frustrated with county people saying, well, they shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that and shouldn't do the other, and let the people who live in the city get some other people to go in there and run for office and get elected. But it seems to me that the same people seem to get back in, so that makes me wonder just really what is the issue. Do people really care? Or are people happy with what's going on? Because if you look at our state legislator and our city council people, seems to be the same people that continually, time after time, get back in.
Well, you can really see that on the federal level with Congress, which gets absolutely terrible poll numbers. But you ask someone how their congressperson is doing, they're doing a great job, and they get reelected.
Well, but you look at our state legislators the same way. How many of them have been in there, 20 years plus, et cetera, and yet we have some haywire things going on there, and people are unhappy with that, but yet they still get back in. Look what they did to Ms. Hill. And I guarantee you that the gentleman from Gillette and his cronies from Laramie will get back in. They will not bring a constitutional amendment to the voters to say this is what we want to do or not do, and I guarantee you they will get back in. And so that one has to wonder, are we wasting our efforts because this is what the vast majority of the people want? Because they keep getting in.
That does seem to be the case, and unfortunately I think the voting public bears some of the blame for this, because I don't think they remember when they vote.
Well, I agree with you 100%, but that's what I'm saying, is that are things really as bad as those who say they're that bad, or are people just happy with the status quo? I don't know the answer to that, but I
don't either.
From the looks of things, the people that keep getting back in, they keep getting back in. I mean, we've heard for a past couple of years about this Agenda 21 nonsense, and I think a lot of it is propaganda on both sides of it. I really do. I think the people that are worried about it bring way more to the table than maybe what's there, and the people who are trying to push it through are not telling the truth either. So I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle there, and I don't know. That's at least my 2 cents.
Hey, I appreciate the call this morning. Thanks.
Thank you.
And again, our phone lines are open. 632-6500, 632-3323 are the telephone numbers. We're talking primarily this hour about Plan Cheyenne and the City Council Committee of the Whole meeting last night. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Hi, this is Dave Cronover.
Hey, Dave. How you doing?
Everybody's asking, what do we do about it? Well, you take away the candy so you can use the stick. And the way you do that is that you don't send all this money to the state and to the federal government. You keep it where it's going to be spent. When we send it to the government and we send it to the state, they siphon off about 75% of it for themselves, and then they send us back these grants. But these grants are our money that we sent to them in the first place, and they send our money back to us with all these strings attached, and make it so attractive that our city councils and our state governments have to take it so they can stay up with the other states. They gotta be like their neighbor. They gotta keep up with their neighbors. So the way you solve it is that you don't send all this money to the federal government and the state government in the first place. You keep it where it's going to be spent, and you'll have 4 times as much to spend on these things, or you can reduce the taxes. That's the solution.
That's probably all true, but how do you make that happen?
By constitutional amendment. You change the IRS. You rework, get rid of the IRS and collect the taxes at the point of purchase, because only customers pay taxes. All the taxes that they charge, and all the way down the line, all are siphoned down, because if they didn't pass them down, all these businesses couldn't stay in business. They just go out of business, and we have disaster. So what you do is you get rid of the IRS, and you collect it at the point of purchase, and then you keep at the local level what you need to operate on, and you only send to the federal government what they need to operate on in their reduced condition, because they need about 75% of the bureaus and the councils and the committees eliminated. They shouldn't have been originated in the first place, and we've got more people employed by government than we have people gainfully employed to write the checks. Now bear in mind, I didn't say that there's more people employed by government than there are people in the United States, because there are a lot more young people and retired people and a lot of other people in between. But there are more people employed by government at every level than there are people gainfully employed to write the checks, and that is the disaster that we face.
Let me ask you this. Do you think a balanced budget amendment on the federal level would address this, or no?
Not a bit. Wouldn't change a thing. In fact, all of the individual items that are being talked about today on talk radio, if you took those 5 or 6 items that are being majorly addressed, and you solved them perfectly, and when I say perfectly, I'm not saying my way or your way, but a way that best served the American people, it wouldn't slow in any measurable degree the rate at which we're falling into the disaster that we face economically. Because you've got not just 4 or 5 things that need to be tracked, but there are over 400 bureaus in Washington that have tentacles that reach out into every state, into every city, into every county, and there are millions of these people, and we can't afford the price.
Okay, well, I appreciate your call this morning.
You're welcome.
Thanks. And again, our phone lines are open. We are starting to run out of time. We have a few more minutes left this morning. 632-6500, 632-3323. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody's pretty much said, except for that one guy that thinks the UN agenda is just a feel-good document or whatever. But Eric missed one point. He said Wyoming people, Cheyenne people are different than the Fort Collins and them. Well, it turns out that, yeah, they are different now, but they are the same as the people that had to leave them areas. And as one that was forced out of the Plywood Palace city that was formerly Greeley, Colorado, you guys need to stand strong and throw these people out.
So what you're saying is Wyoming will eventually become Colorado if we don't do something.
You betcha. That's where everybody come from that got ran out of there. I lived in Cheyenne for 5 years, I think.
Okay, well, I appreciate the call this morning.
And they chase you down. You can't. We can go look for the wilderness, but they'll chase you down. And right now, they took the college cities. They're taking the capitals right now, and they want Wyoming because it's the smallest, most maneuverable state in the Union right now.
Thanks for the call.
You guys got to stand strong.
And again, our numbers are 632-6500. We're almost out of time. We have time for a quick call or two. 632-3323, the other number. And boy, the phones are busy this morning. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Good morning.
Yes, you're on the air.
Here's a good piece of information. The Oklahoma House voted to nullify Agenda 21, 66-26. Wyoming might want to think about doing something like this.
Have you contacted your legislators with that idea?
I'm going to.
That's the way to go right there.
It don't hurt to try.
Of course, we're almost done with this session, but we'll have a general session coming up next year, and that'll give time to get organized.
Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it. 632-6500, 632-3323. We're almost out of time. Just time for maybe another call or two if you keep it relatively short. And looks like we do have a caller. Good morning. You're on KGAB.
Yeah, hey, I was there at the meeting last night, City Council, and it drug on for about 4.5 hours. And towards the end there, they're discussing, that it's required by state statute, federal statute, et cetera, that we must have a plan. We must have a plan. They kept going on about that. And the guy that was third from the left, he's the bald-head younger guy with the blue suit. I don't know his name. Sitting right next to Luna.
Dickie Shaner? Was it Dickie Shaner?
Maybe. I don't remember. Anyways, he slipped. He did a Freudian slip, and he goes, "We are required to pass this plan." And I know Stacy Lynn had a recorder on at the time. I didn't get that on my video, but he slipped and he said that. He didn't say we were required to pass a plan. He said we were required to pass this plan.
Well, and that could have been a slip of the tongue, though, too, don't you think?
Well, you bet it was a slip of the tongue. It's called a Freudian slip. He was frazzled, and we have to pass a plan. We have to have some kind of plan. That's right, we do. And we've gone along for 100 years without having to have outside money. I mean, why is it we have to have this plan?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's opposed to planning for the future. I haven't heard a single caller say that. It's a matter of whether Plan Cheyenne is the plan that we go with. Correct?
Right, exactly, and that's what we're saying. We're saying, this is not right. Everyone there last night, there's 40 people who stood up and spoke against it. I was one of them. This is not right for Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's going to make us look like a ghetto. It's going to take away your Western heritage. What is the reason why people come here and spend their vacation here in the summer to come to Frontier Days to see what they're going to see in every other metropolitan town around? They come here because it's different. I mean, it's getting to where it's not as different. I mean, Cody's got a better Old Town than here, for sure. But, I mean, if it looks like every other dump in the United States, what's the point, And our businesses run on those tourism dollars.
Sir, I hear the music in the background. We're out of time. I do appreciate the call, however.
All right, have a good one.
Talk to you later. And it's just in front of 10 o'clock. We have other callers who'd like to get in. Unfortunately, we are out of time this morning, but of course, there's always tomorrow here at AM 650 KGAB. Thanks for joining us this morning on Cheyenne's #1 News Talk radio station. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later.